Today, here's our little faceless man. And our little faceless man has begun to recognize the disintegration of his life. That the various pieces do not come together. Here's maybe how it works more for us. He says, family, this is where I live. He says, I drive 45 minutes to work. It's close to the national average. Used to be the national average. Did you know that? Nothing I learned in school applies to my job. You all laugh because you all feel that way. Really? It's like, where's the connection between all those years I spent learning and what I do? I don't understand science, but I like technology. The scientists tell us something and we say, okay. A year ago, they tell us coffee's bad for you. 6 months ago, they tell us coffee's good for you. 3 months ago, they tell us coffee's bad for you. Today, they tell us coffee's good for you. And each time they tell us that, we go, I don't know, but I like Starbucks. But the science is out there. We don't get it. It's not really integrated in our life. The more they tell us, the less we believe. I heard somebody, a friend of mine the other day, said, gosh, you know what? I read so much about how smoking cigarettes is bad for you. I think I'm going to quit. I said, that's a great idea. You're going to quit smoking. He said, no, I'm going to quit reading about it. Pop culture and art tells me nothing about my own life, but it helps me escape. You turn on the TV, you go to a movie, people do things you would never do. They have interactions you would never have. They know people you would never know. They have relationships you would never engage in. And you go, that was fun, but it doesn't mean anything to my life. It doesn't change who I am. The media, they tell me things I don't see or experience. I don't really trust them, but it is their job to know. Did you know almost every poll about any situation comes out with this really weird conflict? You ask people how the country is doing at any time. It doesn't matter who's president of the United States. You ask people how the country is doing, and they will say not well. You ask them how their own life is doing, and they'll say great. How can every single American, by and large, say their life is great, but their neighbor's is bad? Because they don't really know. But it's what they're told. It's what they hear. In this conflict, studies show this is the way we react to the media. We don't really trust them. Vast majorities of people don't really trust them. And yet, at the same time, we have this sense that, well, it is their job to know. They tell us that shark attacks go up over the course of a given summer. We say, I don't know if I should trust them, but I guess I won't be going in the water. Politics. Frankly, this feels futile and initially unrelated to me. Lots and lots of the same things. I don't get it. It doesn't connect to my life. I don't know if any of those candidates understand who I am or what I go through, and it feels kind of futile. Here we are in New Mexico. Does it matter if I cast my vote? It feels disconnected. It feels uninvolved. It feels not part of our life. And that's one of the questions, like these ingredients that my wife laid out here. It's hard to make an apple pie if you never mix the ingredients, isn't it? At some point, they got to touch. At some point, they got to come together. We got to find a way to put this all together. Now, of course, there's another issue in this. I left out one kingdom of influence. Does everybody know what it is? Church. You know what? You're the only people who would probably say that. People who are actually sitting in it. You realize that? The church is deemed largely irrelevant by the way, without real influence. And here's what I really want to tell you this morning. Most of you have bought into that lie more than you. Even Christians way underestimate the importance, the relevance, and significance of the church. God speaks to the church in ways that we would be shocked if we really believed what he said. God speaks of the power and the authority that he gives the church in ways that would probably make us a little afraid if we understood what he granted to the church. We don't know what to do. It's the question, where does God fit into all this? How does God bring all this together? What does this all mean? You know, we don't know what to do, so what we do is we tend to separate our world into godly kingdoms and worldly kingdoms. Those of us who are Christians, those of us who go to church, we can't figure out how to put everything together. It's as disintegrated for us as it is for everyone else. We often drive, some of us drive 45 minutes to go to church. I did that for 3 or 4 years. 45 minutes to go to church, where I worship with people who lived 45 minutes from me. It ends up being as disconnected. We go on Sunday morning, the rest of our life may or may not be relevant. So we tend to separate. We say, I know I got to do something with all these kingdoms of influence. So we've got the godly kingdoms, we've got religion or church. And then the one item, the one place, the one kingdom of influence that we still seem to be allowed to connect with the church is the family. Then we say, yeah, my family, we go as a family to church. That's still there. That's still connected. That's still relevant. That's still possible. And even the world grants the church a little bit of room with the family. Should the church say anything about science? Of course not. Should the church be involved in education? Not a way. Should the church be in politics? Blasphemy. Should the church be involved in any of the other kingdoms of influence? Please, no. But you can talk to the family if you like. But right now, isn't it a defining question in our day whether the family should be defined by the church or by what God says it is? Is this another area that we want to separate from the church? So we have the godly kingdoms, and we have this line, and everything else we throw over into worldly kingdoms. We say, well, that's all of the worldly kingdoms. But here's the problem with this. Unless you're a monk or a nun, and I mean that literally, unless you're a monk or a nun, you do not truly only live on this side of the bar, do you? It's impossible. So we end up with our faceless man, and he's split right down the middle. And he says, I got the godly kingdom and the godly things on one side, the spiritual side of me, and then I got the secular side. And everybody in the world, and sometimes even the church, is telling you, better continue to keep those separate. So here's their little man's comments now. Church is good for my family, I think. Because the truth be told, a lot of times in sections, the church does not help you at all, does it? You just, maybe it's not there. Maybe it's not speaking to your family. Is it actually helping you raise your kids in the trenches? Is it actually strengthening your marriage? I think in Lifesong, I think at Real West, we've done a reasonably good job of that. But not so everywhere necessarily. So that seems to work for us. Pop culture and art, I like it, but I feel guilty about it. Well, I'll go see this movie, but that's not really a spiritual enterprise. I watch this TV show, but it's not really spiritual. I love Lost. It's my confession for this morning. In fact, I'll go a step further. I really like TV. I do. I like 24. I miss it. It's been gone for over a year. Silly writer's strike. The writers went on strike, and I thought, I'm just going to stop watching TV. That'll show them. I didn't. We watch it. We talk about it. We engage in it. But does it fit? Does it make any connection to the rest of our life? I'd be glad to tell you about spiritual implications on the TV show Lost anytime you like. Science and my faith just don't agree. Isn't that the message we're often given? Isn't that the thing we most often recognize? Science says this, faith says this. Can't connect the two. I'll use the technology, but I'll stay away from the science. Education should be value neutral and secular. Don't introduce anything of faith into that. That has to be separate too. Keep it on that side of the line. Politics. You know what? I really have no problem with separation of church and state, but the problem I wrestle with these days is we seem to want to separate faith and government. Isn't that interesting? We just listened to a prayer, a 5-minute prayer, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Just honestly, can you imagine a president doing that as publicly, as largely today? What would be the reaction? Keep that out of the government. Don't be calling upon God. God can rule the world, but not America. How about what your work is? My church friends wouldn't understand the things I have to do here. It's a different world. I don't even mean you're doing bad things at your work. I don't think you guys work for the mafia. I don't think that there's things you're doing that are by and large incompatible. But just in general, isn't this the case? You come to church, you don't think people will understand what you do at work. You have tensions and issues and struggles and ethical questions at work. You see church as the place that you can really deal with that. A lot of people do not. So we still have this disconnect. Should I listen only to Christian media? What do I do about journalism? Do I just only have one channel on my TV? Do I only read and listen to those who are Christians? How do we connect this?